Hi everyone, welcome back to our story. It's time for chapter 5 of The Secret Dragon by Ed Clarke. So let's jump straight back in. Chapter 5. Mary woke with a start, quickly muffling an instinctive cry as she realised that something was tickling her eyebrow. Her rude awakening had been caused by the tiny dragon, its tail coiled around her ear, claws hooked into her hair. She could feel its miniature tongue flicking above her eye like a lizard trying to catch flies. She pulled it off her face with a wince as it took a tuft of her hair with it. She placed it on her bedside table and shuffled up into a sitting position. "We mustn't get distracted," she said. "We have an important job to do today." The dragon cocked its head on one side as if it were listening. "Mary!" It was her mother shouting from downstairs. "Now, please!" It was another school day, and there was one bus that stopped at the end of the long track to Dimland Cross Farm. There wasn't another for a whole hour, and Rhian certainly wouldn't be taking Mary to school if she missed it, not when there were animals to feed. Mary had worked out that if she went to school, got marked as present and sneaked away at lunchtime, she could catch the train to Cardiff, see Dr. Griff before his talk, and be home at the time she would normally be back from school. The problem was what to do with the Gweaber. Could she keep it in her school bag the whole morning? After the mess it had made of her cardigan, Mary knew she needed something to secure to keep the dragon in. She leapt out of bed and pulled on her school uniform faster than her mum would ever have thought possible, repeated her slipping out of the door manoeuvre and ran downstairs. The radio was on in the kitchen, the kettle was boiling and Rhian was making some toast with her back to the door, so Mary had to speak quite loudly to be heard. "Can I have a container, please?" she asked. "Can you have a what?" replied Rhian without turning around. "Can I have some sort of container, please?" Rhian flipped off the kettle and looked over at Mary. "Are you all right, love?" she asked. "Everything's fine," said Mary, trying to speed things along. "I just have a school project and I need to take a thing into school in a container." "What kind of thing?" said Rhian. "An insect from the garden," floundered Mary. "A big one." "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "What do you mean?" "Just that," said Rhian, choosing her words carefully, "I mean, you're better with fossils, aren't you, than living things?" Mary pulled a face. "Fine, I knew I shouldn't have asked you." She pushed past her mum and started rooting through the cupboards by her feet. At the back of one she found an old ice cream tub that looked roughly the right size. She peeled open the lid. It had one lonely looking mince pie in it. "Look," said Rhian, "I didn't mean—" "Well, insects are different from farm animals, you know," said Mary without looking up. She thrust the container into the air. "Can I use this?" "I think the mince pie is past its best, yes," said Rhian. Mary stood up. "An insect's biology is completely different to a mammal's. You'd know that if you'd gone to university." Mary instantly regretted what she'd said. Unlike her dad, Mary's mum had left school at 16 and had always been sensitive about not being the clever one in the family. "I didn't need to go to college to learn about animals, thank you very much." "I know, Mum, you went to the University of Life." "Yes, I did." "Lucky you didn't have to travel too far, though," added Mary under her breath. "Pardon?" Rhian bristled suspiciously. "Nothing," said Mary quickly, heading for the door. "You'll need to punch some holes in it," Rhian called after her, "so it can breathe." "I knew that," said Mary. "That's basic science." "And maybe add some water," added Rhian. "Okay." Mary stomped back upstairs. There was no way she was going to the University of Life if it meant never leaving Llanwerdd. She opened her bedroom door, only to find that the Gweaber had disappeared. Again. She looked behind the curtain, but it wasn't there. She regretted not keeping her bedroom tidier. There were 100 hiding places for a small reptilian creature beneath discarded clothes and scrunched up pieces of paper. Mary yanked the duvet off the bed, giving it a good shake. But the only thing that fell out was a careworn teddy that no one was supposed to know she still slept with in her bed at night. There was nothing beneath her pillow or under her bed. She threw socks, knickers and shirts into the laundry basket in the corner of the room, but no dragons were revealed. "Your toast is getting cold," came a shout from the kitchen. Mary looked to the heavens in exasperation, and finally her eyes fell on the Gweaber, hanging on top of her bedroom curtain like a kitten that had climbed a tree without knowing how to get down. It was too high for Mary to reach without standing on something, so she put a chair next to the window and clambered up, but it was still out of her grasp. "Did you fly up there, little reptile?" Mary said, stretching out her hand and trying to sound as soothing as she could. The dragon seemed distinctly unsoothed. It scrabbled further up the curtain, ripping the material as it went. "Come down now, please," Rian shouted from downstairs, echoing Mary's own thoughts perfectly. Mary wanted to shout back a response, but she was afraid of scaring the dragon any further. "Come to Mary," she said, balancing one foot precariously on her bedside table to edge a little bit higher. She strained her arms as far as they would go, but the Gweaver was still out of reach and the chair was starting to tip. "It would make things so much easier if you were a fossil," Mary muttered as she heard her mother's footsteps on the stairs. "Please," she implored. The chair wobbled again, and Mary started to lose her balance just as the dragon leapt off the curtain and plummeted towards the bed. Jumping off the chair as it fell to the floor with a clatter, Mary snatched the falling creature out of the air and stuffed it into her pocket. "What on earth is going on in there?" Rian asked, opening the door just as Mary sat down on her bed, looking as innocent as she could manage. "Sorry, Mum," she said. "Did you call me?" "The bus will be here any minute," said Rian, looking around the room suspiciously. "You'll have to eat your toast when you go. Come on, Mary." With that, she turned on her heel and was gone. Mary reached into the pocket of her school cardigan and pulled out the Gweaver. It looked up to meet her gaze, as if she hadn't been a serious scientist who knew better than to believe animals felt human emotions, she might have almost sworn that it was laughing at her. She narrowed her eyes disapprovingly. "It's going to be like that then, is it?" she said. The tiny dragon nestled contentedly into her palm. Clearly, it was. And that's the end of chapter 5. You'll have to join me next time for chapter 6 to find out just what Mary decides to do with the creature. See you then.